Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Man Cave. And I do not know why I was in such a rush at the last minute. I started this one with more time than usual, and I don't feel like I had all that much to prepare, but something happened and I ran out of time in a heartbeat. I don't know why it. Usually I'm sitting around with 5 or 10 minutes to go and thinking of something to do, you know. Not this time. I mean, I'm absolutely was down to the wire getting this ready, and I don't know why. It's like I look up and a whole hour was gone in just an instant. It's amazing. It was like there was a time warp. I think I was actually somewhere else for a little while there and didn't know it. Well, anyway, I think I've got a good program for you this morning. As usual, there's always a lot of stuff, and it's amazing how much stuff. We got a lot of people in the comments already, and it says there's 66 viewers already. Well, let's get started. First of all, just up to date on the auction. The prices haven't changed. The Taylor Classical is still at $700. The Martin D25 is still at $1,000, and the Rosa String Works mandolin is still at $3,200. Of course, I know it's way early in the auction. It doesn't close till like the 28th. So if you're new, and I did see that there are new subscribers yet even this morning, if you are new, there is an auction going on my website. It's www.rosastringworks.com. Then you just click on the shopping menu or the shopping tab, whatever you want to call that, and it'll take you there. And the three things very near the bottom of that page are the three items up for auction, and you can click on them and look at them. Anyway, moving on down in the items here, I found a giant tree on the farm. Well, I knew it was there. I've seen it before, but it's been years since I've seen it, and I just happened to be messing around out there in the area and ran across the tree again, and I thought, hey, it's time to show you this thing. It's a giant oak tree. So here's a little video clip on that. Thought I'd show you the largest oak tree that I've found on the farm. I don't believe we'll find one any bigger than this one. This thing is monstrous. I'll stand beside it so you can see how big it is. It is enormous. Just enormous. I'm going to measure how big it is, but I don't know if I can do that. I don't know how I can do that. I don't know. I can lock the tape measure on there. Oh, it almost worked. It's following me. Oh. What's the measurement? Chest height. That's about as close as I can get to chest height. That's almost exactly 12 feet in circumference. That's really, really big. It's actually bigger right up here at chest height. It's probably even a little bigger. But anyway, that is one big tree. It's not good for lumber because it's hollow. There's broken off limbs everywhere. It's not any good, but it is really, really huge. Yeah, and when I say it's not any good, you know, it's no good to try to saw it up for lumber or anything like that. It is pretty much hollow. I would imagine that even as I shot that video, there was probably a half dozen raccoons living in there. Possibly a bunch of squirrels too. Those kinds of trees are best left alone for that specific purpose. Animals live in those hollow trees, and it's really good to just leave them standing. And that one there will probably stand a very long time since it's so huge, and it appears to be solid around the tree, but it's it's probably big enough a hole up there that I could probably fit in it myself. So there's no telling how long it'll last. But anyway, it's out there for a while. And if you couldn't hear me there, I said it was 12 feet in circumference, and it was like this close. I think it was actually over 12 feet by just a little bit, by about that much. So it was almost exactly that. So, and if you check that out by diameter, it's roughly 4 feet, just a hair under 4 feet. So that's a big tree. Moving on. Sadie and I, went out there and looked around for Antler. I took her out there in the morning and looked around, and we didn't find anything. But then I decided to brush hog an area, and I used the hydraulic brush hog on the front of my Bobcat because there was trees growed up in this. Lots and lots of saplings, and not just trees, but that like sumac stuff that gets a stem about the size of your thumb or bigger, and it was just solid like that. There was hardly any weeds. It was just solid brush. So I knew I couldn't just cut it with a regular tractor and brush hog. So I used the brush hog on the front of the Bobcat, and that just lays down everything. It's amazing how that thing works. And if it hits anything really solid, it just stops, which is really cool. And what I did was I converted an old brush hog, a John Deere brush hog, in fact. I converted it to hydraulic power so I could put it on the front of my Bobcat. Anyway, it worked really well. Here's a little video clip about some of that stuff with Sadie and the antler that we found. We just found this deer antler. Actually, I found it earlier today, and I came back. I brought her through it, and when she saw it, she picked it up immediately. Bring it here. Bring it here. Yeah, good girl. Give it here. Good girl. Yeah, good girl. That's a good girl. We know where there's one more. It's way over there. For other information, I brush hogged this whole field today. Took me all day. I cut everything. It was all trees, kind of like that over there. You see how brushy that is? It was kind of like that. And it was throughout the whole thing, it was like that. And there was a few places where it wasn't quite that bad, but it was bad. And so anyway, that's what I did all day, was cut this all down. And the reason is I want to metal detect it better to see if I can find any more Civil War stuff or old home place stuff, because the old home set in here somewhere. There's the pond, just for reference. And I'll put this antler away, and we'll walk Sadie over there where the other antler is, and we'll see if she can find it. Well, if I remember right, the antler is up in this area, up in here. So we're going to see if Sadie will get out there and hunt it. Come on, hunt him up. Come on. Come on, Sadie. She just follows along. She doesn't really have any knack to run around. But she's still young. Hunt him up. Get him. Hunt him up. Come on, hunt him up. Get him. Hunt him up. Yeah, good girl. Get out there. Get him. Hunt him up. Hunt him up. Hunt him up. Come on. Hunt him up. Oh, actually, it's right here. I see it now. Here. Here, Sadie. Hunt him up. Get him right here. Get it right here. Hunt it. Hunt it up. Come on. Get it. Come on, Sadie. Get it. Right here. Hunt him up. Sadie. Come on. I guess you could say that's that confused look, but for me, it's more like, yeah, whatever. Come on, Sadie. Here. Come on, Sadie. I'll walk on this side of it and call her this way. Maybe she'll see it. Pick it up. Pick it up. Sadie. Here. Come on. Here, Sadie. Come on, Sadie. Doggone it. Here, Sadie. Come on. Here. Come on. Here. Here. Yeah. Good girl. Pick it up. Bring it here. Bring it here. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah, that's a good girl. Well, at least she knows to pick them up and bring them here when she finds them.
She's just not very good at getting out and trying to find them. At least not yet. Give it here. Bring it here. Bring it here. Good girl. Yeah. Good girl. Well, that's 2 I found today while I was cutting this field. Fortunately, I didn't run over either one of them. So, of course, I had tracks on the bobcat. It wouldn't have really hurt anything if I'd have run over them, except that it would have crushed them and broke them. So, anyway, that's number 2 for the day.
And here they are. And they're both left side, so they're not from the same deer. Anyway, the other thing about Antler is, people think they're all symmetrical, and they're not all that. I mean, I don't know. I would say 60, 70% of the time they are symmetrical, but the other 30% of the time or whatever, they're not. And like this one here, you would say, well, it's a 10-pointer, and it might have been. This point here was broke off naturally. They probably either broke it off fighting or, banged into a tree or something. I don't know. And this point was slightly broken off too, probably from fighting. Anyway, so this one you could say was a 10-pointer, but then again, the other side may have only had 4, might have only had 3. You just don't know. So I have seen them with, 3 on one side, 5 on the other, and that's what you call an 8-pointer the hard way. And here's one that's got 3 on this side, and again, it could just have been a 6-pointer. But the other side could have easily been 4 points. It may have had that brow tine that this one's missing. Generally, they do have a brow tine, and this one it doesn't have that. So the other side, this could have been easily been a 7-pointer, could have been a 6-pointer. You never know. Could have only had 2 on the other side. Could have only been a 5-pointer. You just never know about that. It's kind of like, well, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, the next thing is that I got a viewer gift from Jerry Simone, and his online chat name is Spike Moto, and the viewer gift is a Civil War. It's a National Geographic Civil War poster, and on the back it's got battles and things. I thought I'd just show you a little close-up of a couple things here. So let's start with the first one. And you can see that, if you look there, that 3-ringer lead bullet above the gun there, that you can see that that's just exactly what I find here on the farm. And then there's that round ball to the right of that. And you can see other bullets and shapes and things. And I found a lot of those different shapes bullets too. So I don't know if everything I found, or is some of the stuff I've found like that I just don't identify as Civil War. Could be Civil War also. And then I think, I didn't read what that big round thing is there, but it looks like it's some sort of a cannonball landmine type thing. I didn't read on that one, but it's obviously some sort of an explosive device, I'm sure. You see on the rifle there, it's got the hammer that drops down. Well, that hammer drops down on what they call a percussion cap. And there's a cap that fits over that little nipple. The nipple has a hole through it, and it goes down inside where the black powder is. And when that hammer drops, it hits that percussion cap, and it's just like a cap gun cap. It really is. It just pops, and that spark goes down and goes in and lights the black powder. So that little tin that I had found that some of you have seen on here, that's what I believe it held. I believe it held those percussion caps. So that's picture number 1. Picture number 2 here is, it's a map, and you can see there that if you look close, you can see Rolla, Missouri, and you can see Waynesville, and we're kind of in between Rolla and Waynesville, just slightly south of that. And it says raids, typically, fast-moving cavalry forces and Confederates and different things. But, by some accounts, depending on who you believe and what you believe, Missouri actually had more skirmishes and small battles, raids, whatever you want to call it, than any other state. So Missouri was very active in the Civil War, but didn't have the huge battles, although there were a couple of large battles in Missouri. And they're on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of them right now, but there were a couple. Anyway, and the darn camera won't focus. Doggone, I hate when it does that. It just drives me crazy. And this is a different camera than I have in the shop that, okay. Same kind, but it's a different one. Yeah, it's more or less focused again, I guess. Okay, let's go to the comments and see what we've got there. But anyway, thank you, Jerry, for sending me that poster. I really do appreciate it. Let's see. Dave Hunt was the very first one. Oh, Rod's been slipping lately. Yeah, he's down there a little further down. Doesn't seem, I don't feel like I'm right with the world unless Rod's at the top up there. And Eddie Turner says something about 1,500 vids, but who's counting? Well, if you're counting my vids, there's way more than 1,500. I don't know which ones you're counting, but I don't know. It's got to be close to 2,000 videos that I have out there, give or take. I can't ever find that darn number on the YouTube channel, on my own channel. It's hard to find, but when I do find it, it always surprises me how many there are. I haven't found it in quite a while. I don't know. Again, it's nothing like that is ever intuitive anymore. You should just be able to find stuff like that really easy, but no, you got to search for it. John Warren has a question mark. Good morning, Internet. It is 7:32 in the morning, and welcome back to Jerry's channel. Well, okay. Yeah. Well, I got 8:17 right now. That's what I have, at least by my computer. And moving on down, after we went live, let's see, Walt Willard was the first one to check in, and Ronald Todd has some question marks. Jerry, the older you get, the faster time goes by. Boy, ain't that the truth. I get that one. Yeah, I don't know where the time went this morning. I'm not kidding. It just floors me. Usually, I'm really rushing, and I'm getting it all done, and then when I thinking that the time has run out, and then I look at the clock and I got like 10 minutes, and I'm going, wow, or maybe 20 minutes sometimes. This morning it was completely the opposite. I felt like I was rushing, but I don't feel like the time that I used any time. It's like I felt like it should have only been 15 minutes had passed, and it was a whole hour. I mean, seriously, I felt like I was in a time warp or something, like the time just left. I don't know where it went. Crazy. Maybe I was in a coma for a short while. James Friesa says, it's 3 a.m. here in Hawaii. Well, I can't sleep. Well, James, join the crowd. I'm up at that kind of hour most evenings, or most nights, or mornings, or whenever you want to call that. But by the clock, I'm up around 3 a lot, or 4. James Jones, true why the raccoons here in the city have no homes and take to old attics, no old trees, everything is cut down and put away, no new trees. Yeah, all the lawns are mowed. Yeah, you're right. You got to leave the wild stuff out there, which is when I see people like cutting trees down in their woods, then they sterilize the woods. They pick up all the little limbs and stuff, and they burn them. Not me. I pile that stuff into piles because those animals love that stuff. I mean, it's protection from hawks. I mean, even which I don't like rats and mice, but even rats and mice are protected from that stuff because the hawks and the owls have free reign on everything, like rabbits and stuff, unless you have brush piles. And, just like cutting that field, that's good and bad. I mean, it's kind of good from one sense. Now, you got to understand, that field was a field before I was ever born. So I'm not the one that created that. But it had gotten to the point where, it was really not very usable for anything, really. It wasn't what you call brush that animals can hide in. It was just thick, spindly stuff growing up, and nothing could eat it. There was nothing there. It had no food value for the deer or anything. It was time to cut it down. So now it'll grow back, and the deer will be able to graze on the stuff, and the rabbits will have something to graze on. But still, in all, I do make brush piles everywhere, all the time. So you can rest assured that I'm always watching out for the wildlife. Let's see, moving on down. Jeff Pura says, I can't sign in to the web to bid on the guitars. I need you to reset my password. Jeff, I wrote a note here about resetting passwords. I'm going to look into that. I saw your comment earlier, and I'm going to look into that, but I never seen anything where I can do that. I'll see if there's something I can figure out on my end to help you with that. I assume you've probably tried to just recreate a new one by going to, there's a registration tab on my website, and I'm sure Jeff's familiar with that. But anyway, I'm telling you for the general public. So if you want to bid on this, you need to go in there and register. I don't know. Got no idea. So I'll look into it, though. I remember seeing your comment from a few days ago, but I forgot to look into it then. I will look into it today. Mike Jones says, my parents had a dog like that. It wasn't a hunter. It was a socialite dog. It just wanted to socialize with other dogs. Yeah, and she's a little bit like that. I mean, she definitely gets the thing about, if I kind of point to something out, like if we're on a bare grass area and there's something unusual laying out there, and if I point at it, go pick it up, she'll run over there and grab it and pick it up, and she'll bring it back. That's what she did in that video clip. The biggest thing laying out there was a stick that had been cut down by that brush hog, and it was just laying over, and so she ran to that instantly, thinking that's what I wanted her to go get. So she's kind of getting the idea, but she's not quite got it yet. Yesterday morning, before all of that, I took like 4 different antlers that we already had found, and I threw them out in this front grassy field in 4 different places. And when I took her out there, she saw the big one was standing up where anybody could see it, and she instantly ran to it. I mean, like, just ran to it. I didn't even have to tell her. So I thought, all right, finally she's starting to get this, And she ran over there and she tried to pick it up, and it was kind of big, and so she just dropped it, and then she came back to me. It's like, man. Just when you think you got something, she kind of disappoints you, and it's kind of like that with her. And she would not go back to that to pick it up for nothing. I kept trying to coax her to go back to it, and she wouldn't do it. So we went around to the other 3, and she did get those, and she brought them to me. And, of course, I gave her high praise and all that. And then finally we went back to that one, and she did finally pick it up and bring it to me. So it's like a struggle with her. She doesn't have any enthusiasm about anything, really. It's just weird. Where Buck was quite different, that first dog I trained for that. He was a full... no, he was. Let me think about this. He was half blue heeler and half Labrador, black lab, and he had a lot of energy, and he would run out in front of you, though. I mean, he was always out in front of you, and if he ran across an antler, he'd pick it up and bring it to you, But she just more or less tags along. She doesn't really get out in front. I wish she would do that. Anyway, it just is what it is, I guess. Moving on down. Bill says she's a gorgeous pup. Yeah, she really is. Like I said, as a family dog, you couldn't find one better. She's just as good as it gets. But that's not what I'm after. Bill Webb. Victor, you must be new to the channel. Jerry used to make deer antler nuts and saddles. Okay, so I guess Victor must have been asking a question, what do I do with the antler or something? Yeah, I make... the saddles which fit on top of the bridges for the guitars, and then the saddles that fit on top of the bridges for the mandolins. Those are my main two uses, and I would also use it to make the nuts where the strings come over the peg head there at the end of the neck. So Antler was very important. I sold the Antler business to Caleb, and at some point, if Caleb wants these antlers, well, I'm sure he can have them. Let's see. Moving on down. Bill Webb. I'm sorry. That's the one I just read. Let's see. Cap'n Bubba. Why do some mandolins use single string courses rather than 2-string courses, usually on a 5-string mandolin? Well, you must be talking about an electric mandolin, I guess, because I've never really seen any mandolins have just single strings, other than a few electric mandolins I've seen. But, I really haven't seen a single, string mandolin ever. That's just me. Cap'n Bubba, what breed of dog was Sonny, your dad's dog? He was a blue heeler. That dog, I'm not lying when I tell you never seen a dog as smart as that dog. It's just unbelievable stuff he would do. And he did it on his own a lot of times. Like I've told that story about where the stallion had broke out of its cell, or cell. It's basically a stall. The stallion broke out of his stall and was wreaking havoc in the barn. Well, Mom and Dad were both gone, and I don't know where they were. Went to the store someplace, I don't know, but they were gone. And when they got home, Dad went on down to the barn, and he could see that the barn was just tore upside down. Things were just misplaced and kicked over and turned around and whatever. He could just see that something had happened, and he couldn't find Sonny. And when he got it, and the Dad's barn is designed kind of different. The center, the inside of the barn was where he had hay storage, and he had stalls around the hay storage, and then around that you rode around it as an indoor riding ring. So you could ride all the way around the inside of the barn, stalls on the inside, and then inside of that was hay storage. Well, anyway, so he's going around the track where you ride, and he's walking around, and he still can't see no sign of what's happened here. He could tell something happened. And sure enough, when he got around to the back, Sonny was sitting in the stall door. Sonny was just sitting there like this, with his head up like this. And the stallion was inside the stall, and Sonny had put him back inside that stall and was keeping him in there. That's how smart Sonny was. Sonny was incredible. I mean, you've never seen anything like Sonny. I'm not kidding you. The stuff you see on TV is child's play compared to what Sonny could do. I've said this before, and it just sounds stupid even to tell a dog to do this, but I swear to you, I saw it happen in front of my own eyes. There were some people at Dad's house. He always had people coming over because they were always buying and selling horses, trading horses. That's what Dad did during the winter months primarily. He had a lawn service during the summer months, but during the winter months, he mostly messed with horses and sold them, trained them. He's in the Hall of Fame for the Missouri Foxtrotter Horse Breed Association. So, I mean, he was big into horses. Everybody knew about him. Well, anyway, one day, he was famous for Sonny. People all the time wanted to see Sonny do something that Sonny's never done before. And so I was standing there, and these people asked for that. They said, "Hey, we've heard about Sonny. We want you to have him do something he's never done before." And, it gets hard to think of something because, you've done so many things. And so he says to Sonny, we're standing at the corner of a fence. So, you got this corner like this. Now, in the corner, there's a post. It's a fairly large post. And it was a wooden fence. And he says to Sonny, "Sonny, get up here and sit down on top of this post." And I'm going, "Dad, that's a little bit much." I'm thinking, there ain't no way that dog can do that. I'm thinking, this is stupid. You shouldn't ask for something like that. That dog, I'm not lying to you. He climbs up that fence, and he turns around, and he sits down on that post. And I am not kidding you. I saw it happen myself. And I'm thinking, how in the world? I've never seen a dog like him. He's just unbelievable. You'd never seen anything like it, and you would never believe it until you saw it. That's how Sonny was. So, no dog measures up to that. I keep trying to find that dog. The closest I've come to it so far was Buck. And Buck was pretty good, but he was nothing like Sonny. I mean, he was pretty good, though. This dog right now is, like I said, as a dog goes, she's just the best dog you could ever want. But that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a dog that, can help you when you want some help. If you say, hey, would you go and pick that up over there and bring it here? That kind of thing. Let's see. Moving on down. Sonny was a blue heeler, and Buck was half blue heeler and half Labrador. Do you notice a big difference when using your skid steer after the major cleaning up you gave it? Yeah, where I cleaned all the mud and grease and stuff. Yeah, I did actually. Some of the problems I was having went away. Of course, I created one problem, which is driving me nuts, and that is that somehow I must have loosened a wire or something to the fuel gauge, and now the fuel gauge doesn't work. And that's really annoying, really. So I've got to get in and try to figure that out. Oh, Bill Webb says, Caleb is sold out of deer antler saddles. Well, isn't that amazing? Well, that never happened to me. No, it happened a lot, actually. So, Caleb, if you're watching, stop by and I'll give you a bunch of antler, man. Bill Mumbo, Jerry, I have a Fender mandolin that is electric, normal 8 strings, looks similar to a thin line Telecaster. I have a Fender mandolin that is electric, normal 8 strings. Yeah, okay. So you got an electric that has 8 strings. Yeah, well, I'm not saying that all mandolins that are electric are single strings, but I have seen single string mandolins that were electric. That's the only way I've seen them in single strings. But most of the electric mandolins I've seen are, double strings. Let's see, Cap'n Bubba, blue heeler. That is why Sonny was so smart. Some dog breeds are smarter than other breeds. You need a blue heeler to train. Yeah, you're right. Blue heelers are really smart dogs, but I've told this story a couple of times before. But the way they got Sonny was Dad had sold, I think it was 9 horses to the park rangers out in Wyoming. And that's the story I remember. I don't know the exact details of it. But anyway, it's something like that. And so him and I think my mom and I guess my brother Scott, apparently, I didn't realize he was along, but apparently Scott was along also. And my sister Angie. And my sister Angie at the time was really small. I think she was only 4, 5 years old, something like that, 3 or 4 years old, whatever. Pretty little. And so, you need to stop every so often and, let the horses have some water, that kind of thing. And so they found a kind of a deserted area on the road, and there was a stream running by. And so they just pulled off the side of the road there in a wide spot and unloaded the horses. And Dad was letting each one of them get out and drink in the stream, And Mom, I think, was fixing lunch, that kind of thing. And the kids were exploring the creek. Well, somewhere along there, Sonny comes running off the hill, this dog, and he was, you could tell he was a young pup-type dog. I mean, he wasn't like a pup, but he was, you could tell he was a young dog. And he was skin and bones, just starving to death, you could tell. So Mom started feeding the dog with stuff like that, sandwich stuff, whatever. And so the dog's over there just gulping it down, Well, my sister screams about this time, and, she's little, and she fell into the creek. And this dog, starving dog, stops eating, runs over to the creek, grabs my sister by her clothes somehow, and pulls her out of the creek. My my dad says, this dog's going home with me. So, and anyway, that's, apparently it had been abandoned or somehow gotten lost or whatever, because he was out in the middle of nowhere, they said, and, he was starving to death. So anyway, that's how that story started with Sonny, and it is kind of like meant to be type thing, and Sonny pretty much went everywhere with my dad, and Sonny was smart enough to, do anything that Dad said. And like if he's like the pickup truck back then, everything, and kind of unlike today, nothing live rides in the back of a pickup truck these days, but Sonny would always ride in the back of the pickup truck, and he would stand up on the corner near Dad's window there, and he would stand up with his feet up on the top of the bed, and looking out like this, going down the highway, 60 miles an hour, whatever, and he would just stay there. And then Dad would go into the donut shop with his cronies every morning, and Sonny would stay in the back of the pickup truck, And the waitresses, they all knew Sonny, of course, and had seen him do his tricks and things. And so they would set a donut out in a paper bag outside the door and just shut the door and, go back about their business. And Sonny would jump out of the truck, go over, get the paper bag, and run around, jump back up in the bed. He could jump over the bed and get into the truck, and, and then he'd open his bag and eat his donut. It's pretty much an every morning ritual, And anyway, he was an incredible dog. Never seen a dog like him. Well, I guess that's it. I can't think of anything else. I'm going to look into the resetting the password thing. The rest of you, if you haven't checked out the auction, please do that. I'm not at all concerned about the prices and things, because I know people don't bid until the last minute usually, and that's perfectly fine. I understand that. But do check it out at least and take a look at them all, and look at the videos that are associated, because there's a video associated to each one of the auction items as well. For today, my plans are, I've got a little project right here in the very front yard. When I buried the fiber cable up here to the house, all the way from the shop, there was one little spot there where I need to repair a pipe, and it needed to be repaired anyway, but apparently I must have knocked the top of it off. It had a 45 that came up out of the ground, and I must have knocked that little 45 off, so I need to repair that and fill the ditch back in that one spot. So that's going to be my job number one. Job number two would probably be cutting up a bunch more cedar, and if I get through that, then job number three will probably be trying to use Leo's drawings that he sent me from the Netherlands, and working out a surround with 16 surrounds around that water wheel that I'm going to be building. And I may actually try to get the final version of that made. That'll be, I doubt I'll get to all of that today, but if I get that far, that's what my plans are. So thank you all for joining me. We will, looks like Dottie's got one down here. It says, let's see. I'm looking. It looks like maybe several popped up here. I better look and see here. Ben Boyd says, if you're using WordPress for your site, the user tab is on the admin dashboard to the left. You can reset passwords there. Oh, okay. All right. I did not know that. So thank you. I'll look at that. Sidecar Bob, long-time viewer, but first time I've been up early enough to see the live stream when I wasn't rushing to get out the door. Today is going to puppy sit for the neighbor while he goes to an appointment. Okay. Dottie says, Jerry, my dad had a dog like Sonny. He was half blue heeler and border collie, one of the smartest dogs I've ever seen. Yeah, they can get pretty smart. The thing about Sonny was that he kind of did a lot of this on his own. You know, I mean, just a lot of stuff he did on his own. He was just amazing, amazing dog. Just crazy amazing. Sidecar Bob says, figures, it's the first time I made it on right at the end. Well, sorry, Sidecar Bob, but we're going to have to get busy here. I've got an appointment with a pipe out in the front yard. Thank you all for being here. We will see you tomorrow with something else.